What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video on the Philosnip YouTube channel. And as you've probably read by the title, you know what today's video is. It's probably one of the biggest videos of the entire year for this channel and for many AFL channels around the platform. In today's video, I'll be giving you my official AFL season predictions for 2023. I'll be giving you my full ladder from 18th all the way up to 1st. I'll be giving you my Brownlow medalist, my Coleman medalist, my Rising Star, and obviously my eventual premiers that you will see at the end of the video. Now, I think this goes without saying, these are only predictions. This is only my opinion. So if you disagree with any of these predictions, feel free to comment down below your predictions in the comments. I'd love to see what you guys think of my predictions and where you think each team will finish. So yeah, if you've got any predictions, I'll leave them down in the comments below. If you guys go on to enjoy today's video, make sure to leave a like, share, and subscribe. I'm trying to hit 400 subs by Gab around. So every new sub would absolutely mean the world. So if you're new to the channel and you haven't clicked the big red subscribe button down below, yeah, that'd be much appreciated. But anyways, without any further ado, yeah, let's get straight on into 18th position. So kicking off today's video with 18th position, I believe the wooden spooners of 2023 will be the GWS Giants. Now, obviously, we all know with the Giants last year, they had a horror 2022 off-season, losing the likes of Taranto, Hopper, Bruin, and Bobby Hill as well. They're under a new coach in Adam Kingsley this year, and I just think it'll be a bit of a dull year this year for the Giants. It'll be a bit more of a year of development for them. Obviously, they've got a lot of young talent, such as the likes of Aaron Cadman, the #1 draft pick from last year. I could see the Giants finishing as high as 15th, but I feel like you know, their stars are starting to get a bit on. You know, the likes of Toby Green, Lockie Whitfield, Josh Kelly as well. You know, they're starting to get a bit on that GWS core. So I think it is time to do a bit of a reset at the Giants. And yeah, I think they're just going to have a bit of a nothing year this year. The Giants, I've got them in 18th. Coming in at 17th position, a team who I think is in a bit of a similar boat to the Giants at the moment, and that is Hawthorn. I've got Hawthorn finishing 17th. Obviously, we all know with the Hawks, they did lose about 1,000 games of experience from the likes of Gunston, O'Meara, Shields, Tom Mitchell as well has left the club. Again, just like GWS, I think Hawthorn, they're just going to have to do a bit of a reset this year. I think, you know, under Sam Mitchell, they're obviously still in the middle of a rebuild. I think they will show a little bit more than GWS, simply due to the fact that their talent is a little bit more, just a little bit more established than the Giants, who are still a bit raw. I believe I had the Hawks 17th last year, so I'm backing it in again. I reckon Hawthorn are going to have a bit of a poor season this year, and yeah, they're going to be finishing 17th in my predictions. Coming in at 16th position, a team who I expect to rise and show a little bit of improvement from their, let's be honest, horrid 2022 season, and that is North Melbourne. I think North Melbourne will finally get off the bottom this year and actually start to show some signs of improvement in 2023. Obviously, under Alistair Clarkson this year, the Roos, the young Roos, they're going to show a lot of fight and hunger to win more games this season. I think Clarko is going to get the most out of players like Jai Simpkin, like Davies Uniacke, like Zerha and Larkey. You know, the young group is there for North Melbourne, and I think Clarko is going to start to drive and push this North team as far as he possibly can in 2023. While they may show signs of improvement in 2023, I just think they're still going to finish bottom 4 just because, you know, they've still got a lot of development to go. But I just want to see North Melbourne get off the bottom this year and just show something. I think I had them 15th last year. Yeah, I think North Melbourne, they're going to show some signs of improvement, but not enough to get out of the bottom 4. But I've got North Melbourne finishing 16th in 2023. Coming in at 15th position, rounding out my bottom 4 for 2023, a team who, let's be honest, really went backwards in 2022, and that is Essendon. Now, I've got Essendon finishing 15th. Could be a little bit harsh. The Bombers have a great young, exciting team. I personally believe the Bombers have the list to potentially contend for finals, but I think under Brad Scott, it might not work exactly this year. I think this year the Bombers, they're just going to be working on their game plan. And while there may be a little bit of internal improvement in terms of the game plan for the Bombers, I think in terms of ladder positions, I think they finished 15th last year, so they're not really improving in my eyes. But yeah, I'm sure there's going to be plenty of internal improvement for the Bombers, and just to get the club back on the right track, considering the disastrous year they had last year, sacking Ben Rutten, and yeah, pretty much the whole club just collapsed in on itself. Hopefully the Bombers can show some signs in 2023, but I still think they'll finish 15th. Just so they can, you know, sort of get this game plan right and set up for a massive 2024. But in 2023, I see them finishing 15th, the same position that they did in 2022. Coming in at 14th position, just outside the bottom four, is a team who I expect to see some big improvement from season 2022 leading into this year. And that is the West Coast Eagles. Now, watching the Eagles in the practice matches, I know they got smashed by Adelaide, but yeah, I'm quietly confident that the Eagles won't finish in the bottom four this year. The Eagles, they're a very successful, well-run footy club, and I think they're just going to avoid the bottom four this year. I think they're going to win maybe 6 to 7 games this year and really show a lot of improvement. They've completely reshaped their list with a lot of young talent, with the likes of Ruben Jimby, Jaden Hunt looked really good. Even someone like Campbell Chesser as well looked really good for the Eagles. Yeah, I'm predicting the Eagles to not finish in the bottom four this year, and I'm quietly confident about this prediction. I've got West Coast finishing 14th in 2023. Coming in at 13th position, a team who I expect to slide a little bit in 2023, and that is St Kilda. Now, I'm going to be completely honest. The Saints are a team who really frustrate me at times because I know how talented their list is on paper. Like, their list on paper is extremely talented, but I don't think it's going to click this year for the Saints under Ross Lyon. I think they're going to play more defensive style of footy in 2023. And I think because of that, I don't think the Saints are going to be able to put on massive scores this year. And I just think they'll slide a little bit just because I think there's a couple of teams below them last year that will overtake them in 2023. So, yeah, the Saints, they could be a dark horse if they get everything right, but I just see them sliding this year, and I think they're going to finish 13th in 2023. Coming in at 12th position. Now, this is where the controversial predictions start to come in for me. And finishing 12th in 2023, I have Port Adelaide. Now, I'm sorry, Port Adelaide fans. If Port Adelaide don't make finals and they actually do end up finishing 12th, then I think you can say goodbye to Ken Hinkley, because I think it is finals or bust for Port Adelaide this season if they do want to keep Ken Hinkley as their coach. But personally, I just don't see Port Adelaide making the finals this year. And watching their practice games, you know, losing to West Coast and getting belted by Fremantle, I just don't think Port Adelaide, it's going to click this year. I think something will happen. Maybe they get a bad run with injury. Maybe they start 0-5 again. I mean, unlikely, but could happen. Or maybe they just hit a bad run of form towards the end of the year and, yeah, just really give up any momentum they may have leading up towards the finals. But, yeah, I don't think they're going to make finals this year, the Power. I think they're going to finish 12th. Coming in at 11th position in 2023. Now, again, this is a controversial prediction. I don't want to step on anyone's dreams here. I know a lot of people want to see this team do well. And to be honest, I wouldn't mind seeing them do well either, and then even maybe making the finals this year. But I've got Gold Coast finishing 11th. Now, I know a lot of people are not going to be happy with this. Like, Gold Coast going to make the 8. It's their year. It's their time. They've got to be patient, the Gold Coast Suns. It's not easy to make the finals. I think Gold Coast as a team are starting to click. And I think, again, with Ben King coming back into the side, they're going to show the same fight that they did last year. But I just think they'll drop a couple of games this year that will cost them top 8, and I think they're just going to miss the 8 this year. I think they're going to be in contention for the 8, no doubt. They're an exceptionally good side with the likes of Tug Miller, Matt Rao, Noah Anderson. Don't mention that. Don't mention Noah Anderson's kick after the siren, okay? I don't want to hear it. But you know what I mean. You know, Ben King, like I said, is coming back. Marby Ochoa had an absolutely sensational year. If he can have another good season with Ben King alongside him this time, then maybe Gold Coast could make the finals. But for me, I don't think Gold Coast is going to make the 8 this year. It could be next year. It could be this year. But I don't think it'll be this year. I think Gold Coast will finish 11th in 2023. Coming up in 10th position is a team who I am really excited to watch this year, especially after watching the practice matches. I'm really intrigued to see how far this team can go in 2023, and that is the Adelaide Crows. Keep an eye out for this team in 2023, I am telling you. They belted Freo over in Perth, and they also belted West Coast. So I know it's only practice matches, and you know, practice matches don't mean a whole lot. But after watching the Crows in both those matches, I am confident that they will be a finals contender in 2023. That is a big call. I don't know how many other people have Adelaide this high. From what I've seen, a lot of people having them 13th, 12th, which is probably more reasonable. But I'm going for it. I'm saying Adelaide, they're going to be in contention for the finals this year. They've got one of the best young forward lines in the competition with Taylor Walker, Darcy Fogarty, Isaac Rankin, Josh Rochelle, also Shane McAdam as well. He's an absolute star as well. Yeah, I can't wait to see the Crows play this year. Playing them at Adelaide Oval is going to be an absolute nightmare. And yeah, like I said, if Isaac Rankin can bring his spark like he did last year to the Crows this year, then look out. The Crows, they could be on the cusp of something big in 2023. But I don't think they'll make finals. I think they'll contend, but they'll just miss out. I think the Crows will finish 10th in 2023. And here we are. We are here in probably the most dreaded position in the entire ladder. And yeah, this could be my most controversial call of this entire video. And if this backfires in about 8 or 9 months' time, then I'm going to look like an absolute idiot. But finishing 9th in 2023, in my predictions, I have Collingwood. Now, we all know the story with Collingwood last year. They had an exceptional 2022 season, rising all the way to top 4 and were oh so close to making a granny. They were probably the most exciting team in the entire competition, and they really provided a much-needed spark in terms of the competition itself. But I just think they're not going to be able to back up the season they had last year. Like, last year was unbelievable. No one was expecting that. They always find a way to turn negatives into positives. And yeah, with the recruitment of Tom Mitchell, Dan McStay, Bobby Hill, I wouldn't be surprised if they make the finals. But again, this is my predictions. This is just my opinion. So don't come at me, Collingwood fans. I do rate your team, but I just don't think you're going to be able to back up last year. I think you're going to drop a couple more games this year than you did last year. Also, having a harder fixture probably doesn't help. But for me, Collingwood, they're going to finish 9th. They're going to narrowly miss out on the finals. Yeah, it's just going to be maybe a year to forget for Collingwood in my predictions. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised when they make the finals. So here we are. We are moving on to the top 8, well, my top 8. For 2023, kicking it off with 8th position. Now, in 8th position, this is a team who I think are being heavily underrated and almost overlooked in general in the lead up to this season, and that is the Western Bulldogs. I think the Dogs are going to make the 8 this year. I don't know how many other people are predicting this to happen, but now I know the Dogs, you know, did lose Josh Dunkley throughout the trade period, and that is definitely going to be a little bit of a blow for them. But adding Rory Lobb up forward, I think, was desperately needed, and Liam Jones down back, if he can recapture his 2021 form, then yeah, he could really provide a much-needed spark for the Dogs down back. I still firmly believe that the Dogs are a top 8 contender this year, and like I've got here, are going to make the finals. I think they are being heavily overlooked and underrated, like I said, in the lead up to this season. Comment down below if you agree with this. But personally, I believe the Dogs can make the finals this year, and it would be kind of good to see because I do like the Dogs. I do want them to do well. Yeah, hopefully the Dogs, for their supporters' sake, can do quite well this year. I don't think they're going to finish any higher than maybe 7th. But yeah, I've got the Dogs scraping into the finals, finishing 8th in 2023. Now we move up to 7th position in 2023. I've got the Sydney Swans finishing 7th. Now, this is another interesting call. I think the Swans are going to be one of the most interesting teams to watch in 2023. Obviously, they got belted in the grand final by Geelong. And as we've seen in previous seasons, the team who does get belted in the grand final is never the same team the following season. So it will be very hard for the Swans this season. But I think the Swans have the capability to bounce back. Maybe not completely repeat the season they had in 2022. But yeah, I definitely think they are still going to make the finals this year, the Swans. They're an exceptionally talented team. My opinion, they've got the most well-rounded list in the entire competition in terms of youth and experience. And I think they're definitely going to make the finals again this season. Maybe not to the extent that they did last year, making the top 4. I don't think they'll make top 4 this year. But I still expect them to be in the finals in 2023. I've got the Swans finishing 7th in 2023. Coming in at 6th spot in 2023, probably the most unluckiest team in 2022. I have the Blues finally cracking the 8 this season. My oh my, it's got to happen this year for the Blues. Like, the pressure will be unbelievable if they don't make the finals this year. Like, if they don't make finals this year, the Blues, then something is seriously wrong because they have got an exceptionally talented list. They've got probably one of the best forward line duos in the entire competition with the likes of Curnow, Mackay up forward. They've got the reigning Brownlow medalist, Paddy Cripps. They've got Wiedering down back as well as Sard. And, they've got the likes of Fisher, Chera, Hewitt, all those guys around them, Owies, Durden, O'Brien. They got so much talent on that team, the Blues. It just has to happen this year. The only worry I have for the Blues is, their injuries. Obviously, we know Zach Williams is gone for the entire season. Sam Walsh, I think, will miss the first few weeks. And then also, I don't know if Harry Mackay was injured, but he wasn't playing against the Swans, so I don't know what's going on there. But as long as the Blues don't get major injuries, I think they'll be fine. So, yeah, I've got the Blues finishing 6th in 2023. Coming in at 5th spot in 2023, narrowly missing out on the top 4, I have the reigning premiers, the Geelong Footy Club. Now, I'm sorry, Cats fans, if this is a little bit harsh. I know a lot of people probably have Geelong in the top 4. That is 100% fair enough. They have an unbelievable list. But the reason I have them outside the top 4 is just because I think, like we saw with Melbourne last year, teams tend to work out the premiers the following year. So I think a lot of teams this year are going to be able to work out Geelong. But I definitely expect Geelong to be up there again. They're the reigning premiers. They got nothing to lose, really, because, they won last year. So, I expect Geelong to be around the mark for the premiership again, but just missed the top 4 in 2023. I've got Geelong finishing 5th. Now we move on to the top 4, my top 4. Now, coming in at 4th position is a team who I am really excited for, and I've been getting on the bandwagon saying, it's their time, and that is Freo. Freo are going to make the top 4 this year, baby. Flag mantle is happening. Come on, get around it. But no, in all seriousness, the Dockers have an unbelievable young list. Like, their list is getting stronger and stronger by the year. I know they lost Rory Lobb, Blake Acres, Griffin Logue, all those players. But, the addition of Luke Jackson, I think that is a great long-term ruck solution alongside Darcy. They got one of the best backlines in the competition with the likes of Alex Pearce, Brendan Cox, Jordan Clark, Hayden Young, Luke Ryan. Like, the backline is just exceptional. And then you look at the midfield, Andy Brayshaw, probably one of my favourite players in the competition. He's an absolute superstar. Will Brodie had an unbelievable year in 2022. But the one problem I have with Freo is how are they going to consistently score goals? Obviously, they've got the likes of Schultz, Frederick, Walters, those smaller guys. But Josh Tracy and Jaya Miss as your 2 key forwards is going to it's going to be a lot of pressure for those young guys to handle. Whether Nat Fyfe can be that consistent goal kicker for them is another question. If he can be, then that could be massive for Freo. Yeah, the Dockers or Flagmantle, however they want to be called, you're finishing 4th, lads. Yeah, good on you, Dockers. Yeah, you're finishing 4th. Moving up the ladder now into 3rd position, I have Richmond. Obviously, my boys. We had a somewhat solid season in 2022. Obviously, we dropped a lot of games we probably should have won last year. Now, coming from a Richmond fan, this could seem a little bit biased to some of you. Biased or not, I am confident we will have a good season this year. I don't really get why people are having us as low as like 10th or 9th. Honestly, it wouldn't shock me if we only finish as about 7th or 8th. But the only way I can see us missing the 8 is if we get the worst injury run possible. Like if we lose Prestia, Lynch, Rewalt, Taranto, like if we lose Grimes, if we lose those players, if we have an injury run that bad, then potentially we could miss the 8. But I expect us to make top 4 this year. Maybe that sounds a bit biased. I expect us to make top 8 this year. Top 8 has to be the goal this year for Richmond, in my opinion. If we don't make top 8, then serious pressure is going to be on Damien Hardwick, I reckon. But I expect Richmond to finish 3rd this year. I think we're going to have a really good year. And yeah, I reckon Richmond are going to finish 3rd. Coming in at 2nd spot, narrowly missing out on the minor premiership, is the same team from last year, the Melbourne Footy Club. I did predict Melbourne to finish 2nd last year, and I got that bang on. I don't think they're going to be an unstoppable force with Grundy and Gawn, but that will probably be, without a doubt, the best ruck duo in the comp this year, without a doubt. The D's, they're looking more refreshed this year. You know, the new faces, like I say, Grundy, Lockie Hunter looked really good. I don't think the D's are going to be the best team throughout the whole season. Like I said, they might drop a couple of games, you know, here and there, but, you know, nothing too substantial. I think the D's, they're going to be up there again this year. I think top 4, I think they should probably be aiming for again. I think maybe 5th or 6th is probably a bit too low for them. I'm going to say the D's finish 2nd this year and narrowly miss out on the minor premiership in 2023. The D's I've got finishing 2nd. Well, if you've been counting right and you've been ticking off the teams that I have named so far in this video, you will know who is left. Clinching the minor premiership in 2023. I believe I predicted this last year. I think it's the same prediction from last year, but I'm going to back it in. I've got the Brisbane Lions clutching the minor premiership in 2023. In my opinion, they have got probably one of the best lists on paper in the entire competition. Obviously, they had one of the best trade periods last year, adding Dunkley, Gunston. I mean, how much more stacked does this team need to get to win the minor premiership? Like, it's ridiculous. They've added Jack Gunston, probably the most consistent goal kicker over the last 4 or 5 years. You've added Josh Dunkley, one of the best players in the entire competition. And then you've just added Will Ashcroft, the best player in the entire draft. So I don't know how much more the Lions need to do to win the minor premiership. But it's got to be this year for the Lions. It just has to be. Like I said, the names they brought in, Dunkley, Gunston, Ashcroft, absolutely unstoppable. And obviously under a new captain now in Harris Andrews and Lachie Neale. My minor premiers for 2023 will be the Brisbane Lions. But anyways, we'll get into the individual awards, starting off with the Brownlow medal. Now, there's a couple of players I could have gone with here. You know, Andy Brayshaw, like I said, is one of my favourite players. And, you know, maybe if Freo make the top 4, he's definitely going to be up there. You know, Clayton Oliver still hasn't won one yet. I don't know how. He probably should have won one maybe in 2021. I've decided to go with Tug Miller from the Gold Coast Suns to win the Brownlow medal this year. Tug, if you've seen photos of him, he looks prime for a massive 2023. For the Gold Coast Suns. Probably one of their best players, if not their best player on their entire team. Arguably could have won the Brownlow last year if he just had gotten 3 votes in that game against North Melbourne. But Tug Miller, for me, he's in for a massive season. Like I said, I could see someone like an Andy Brayshaw winning it maybe. That could be my outsider. I mean, if I had to choose someone else, probably be Andy Brayshaw, especially if Freo make the top 4. But I'm going Tug Miller to be the 2023 Brownlow medalist. Now moving on to the Coleman medalist. Now this is always a bit of an interesting one for me. The Coleman medalist, I believe I went Max King last year, which wasn't a great call in my eyes. Obviously it was Charlie Curnow who won the Coleman last year. However, this time I don't think it's going to be a Carlton player who wins the Coleman medal. I'm going to be backing in Tom Lynch. Tom Lynch for the Coleman medal this year. I think he's in for a massive season. He's pretty much the standalone key forward for us up forward, obviously. The thing is, though, he could have kicked about 50 or 60 if he'd stayed fit last year. I think he might have still kicked 50. I can't remember. But if Tom Lynch stays fit, mark my words, he will kick 50 or maybe even 60 goals this year. And I think he's going to take out the Coleman medal in 2023. Moving on to my rising star. Now, I famously tipped Jason Horne-Francis to win the rising star last year, which was an absolutely shocking call. Of course, it was going to be Nick Dacos. So I'm not going to make the same mistake twice. I'm going to go with the obvious prediction. It's got to be Will Ashcroft, doesn't it? I mean, the game against Geelong that I watched, he was absolutely sensational. He's so clean with his hands. He kicks the ball magnificently, and he's an already made star like Dacos was last year. So I don't think he's going to have as good of a season as Nick Dacos did last year. But I'm tipping Will Ashcroft to win the rising star this season. I think I've just got to go with the obvious prediction. I don't want to make the same mistake that I did last year. Will Ashcroft, I reckon, will be the 2023 rising star. And here we are. This is the moment everyone has been waiting for. My 2023 AFL Premiers. Now, again, looking at my top four, there's a lot of teams that could win it. I reckon any team from first to maybe even six could potentially win the flag this year if they get everything right. In the end, I've landed on one team to win the flag this year. As much as I want it to be the same as my predicting every result of the season 2023 video, where Richmond win the flag. If you haven't seen that, go check it out. I know it is a long video, but try and watch to the end. I did predict Richmond to win the flag in that video, but that was more a bit of a piss take. To be honest, I don't really think Richmond will win the flag this year. It would be nice, but I don't think it'll happen. My 2023 AFL Premiers will be the Melbourne Football Club. I think Melbourne are going to win the flag this year. They're going to do a bit of a Richmond. Obviously, we know Richmond won the flag in 2017, broke a drought-breaking flag, and obviously dropped off in 2018. I think they lost a prelim. And won the flag the year after. I think the D's are going to do something similar. They've got the best ruck duo in the comp. Gawn Grundy. Like, who is going to stop that? Like, no one is going to stop that. I was thinking Brisbane, but then again, they're Brisbane. They do tend to lose maybe a prelim. It would be nice if Richmond did it, but knowing us, we're probably going to screw it up somehow. We're probably going to lose a semi or a prelim or something like that. Freo, I think, are just a little bit too young. It would be unbelievable to see, but they're just not quite there yet. And then I could see Geelong going back-to-back as well, but it's very hard to go back-to-back, and I don't think, if they don't finish in the top four, Geelong, I don't think they can win the flag. But the D's for me are going to be the Premiers in 2023. So there we go, guys. That was my 2023 AFL season predictions. Remember to comment down below your predictions in the comments. Let me know if I got any wrong or if you're backing in my predictions. I've got to do better than last year. Last year I had an absolute shocker. I think I predicted Essendon 5th and then Collingwood like 14th. These are predictions. I'm not saying they're going to happen, but they could happen. You never know. Thank you so much for watching. Like, share, subscribe, and I will see you in my next video. Cheers!